I was working at a cafe in Paris when an American couple walked in and asked if we had normal coffee. I pointed to our espresso menu. They looked confused. No, like regular coffee, in a big cup. I explained we serve espresso-based drinks here. The woman sighed and said, "Why doesn't Europe have real coffee?" I was standing in France, the birthplace of cafe culture. She wanted me to admit that a 20-ounce gas station coffee was somehow more authentic than what we'd been perfecting for centuries. Most travel stories stop at culture shock. I study why it happens, the psychology underneath every misplaced expectation. If you notice these patterns too, you're already the kind of viewer who belongs here. I made them an Americano. They complained it tasted watered down. That's literally what they asked for. My coworker told me about a guy who ordered a cappuccino at 2 p.m. Normal enough. But then he sent it back 3 times. First time, too much foam. Second time, not sweet enough. Third time, he wanted it iced. In Italy, ordering a cappuccino after 11 a.m. already makes locals wince. Sending it back is basically a cultural crime. And asking for it iced? My coworker said the barista just stared at him for 10 seconds straight before remaking it. The guy left a 1-star review saying, "Italian coffee shops don't understand customer service." The shop had been there since 1847. Another server told me about an American tourist in a Munich beer garden who asked if they could substitute the beer with iced tea at a beer garden in Germany. The server thought he was joking. He wasn't. He explained he doesn't really drink alcohol, but wanted to experience the atmosphere. The server suggested water or apple juice. The guy got frustrated and said, "In America, we can substitute anything." The table next to him had been drinking the same style of beer since the 1500s. He wanted sweet tea. I worked one summer at a small restaurant in Barcelona. An American woman ordered paella for one. We explained paella is traditionally a shared dish, minimum 2 people, takes 40 minutes to prepare fresh. She said that was ridiculous and asked why we couldn't just microwave a single portion. The chef nearly walked out. Paella isn't just rice and seafood you heat up. It's a technique. The socarat, the crispy bottom layer, requires precise timing and heat. She ended up ordering it anyway, complained about the wait, then left half of it uneaten. She told us American restaurants understand efficiency better. We'd been cooking paella the same way since before her country existed. These weren't isolated moments. They happened constantly. Americans abroad, convinced their food logic was universal, running headfirst into centuries of culinary tradition. And the confusion went both ways. Europeans couldn't understand why Americans needed everything bigger, sweeter, faster. Americans couldn't understand why Europe wasn't rushing to change. This is the gap I unpack every week. Not just what people do abroad, but the invisible logic behind why they do it. Most viewers miss that layer entirely. Subscribers don't. I was working at a pizzeria in Rome when an American family ordered one pizza to share. Standard. But when it arrived, the dad measured it with his hands and declared it wasn't even 12 inches. He demanded we bring a ruler. We did. It was 30 centimeters. He had no idea what that meant. We explained it's basically 12 inches. He insisted it looked smaller than American pizzas. It was the same size, just round and thin instead of thick and covered in cheese. He left a review saying we scammed tourists with small portions. The pizza was literally the correct size. A woman in Vienna asked me where the free refills were. I worked at a coffee shop. I told her we don't do free refills. She looked at me like I'd personally insulted her. "What do you mean? It's just coffee." I explained that in Europe, coffee isn't bottomless. You order a cup, you get that cup. She argued that the beans cost almost nothing, so refusing refills was just greed. I didn't know how to explain that European cafes aren't about consuming maximum liquid. They're about sitting, talking, enjoying one well-made drink. She bought one espresso and sat there for 2 hours anyway, annoyed the whole time. My friend worked at a burger place in Amsterdam. An American guy ordered a burger, ate half, then asked for a to-go box. Normal request. But then he asked if they sold gallon-sized containers, because American portions are bigger and we're used to leftovers. My friend explained that Dutch portions are designed to be finished in one sitting. The guy seemed offended by this concept. So you just expect people to eat out multiple times? That's expensive. My friend pointed out that cooking at home exists. The guy said he was traveling and didn't have a kitchen. Fair. But he still wanted us to validate that bigger portions meant better value. He couldn't accept that maybe eating exactly what you need and not overeating was also valuable. I served an American couple in Prague who ordered soup as an appetizer. When it came in a normal bowl, they asked if we had accidentally brought the kids' size. It was a regular bowl. They expected something the size of a mixing bowl, apparently. I explained this was standard. The woman said, "No wonder Europeans are so skinny. You barely feed people." The irony was that the soup was rich, creamy, filling. It wasn't about volume. It was about density. They still looked disappointed, like we'd shortchanged them on molecules. Another guy in Brussels asked me why his soda was so small and expensive. I looked at the glass. It was 250 milliliters, normal for Europe. He said in America, a small is 16 ounces. That's almost 500 milliliters, double, and free refills. I told him European restaurants don't push sugar water on you. He said, it's not about pushing it, it's about value. But value to him meant quantity. To us, it meant quality. He didn't want to hear that. He just wanted more liquid for less money. He drank it in 2 sips and asked if we were allowed to give him tap water for free. We were. He filled up on water and left, muttering about being ripped off. A family in Berlin ordered schnitzel and were shocked it came with a small side salad and potatoes. They asked where the bread basket was. We don't do bread baskets. They asked if we could bring fries instead of potatoes. The potatoes were already prepared. They asked if we could add cheese to the schnitzel. That's not schnitzel anymore. They essentially wanted to redesign a traditional dish into something unrecognizable, then got upset when we explained that's not how it works. The dad said, "You guys are really strict about food." We just didn't customize a dish that had been made the same way for 200 years. To him, that was stubborn. To us, it was respect for the recipe. I watched an American woman in Lisbon argue with a server about portion sizes for 10 minutes. She wanted to order one meal and split it with her husband. Fine. But she wanted 2 full plates, extra sides, and more bread. For one meal's price, the server tried explaining that splitting a dish means sharing what's on one plate. She insisted that American restaurants give you double everything when you split. The server offered to bring an empty plate. She called it nickel and diming customers. The server gave up and charged her for 2 meals. She complained online that Portugal doesn't value customer satisfaction. Another guy in Greece ordered a Greek salad and asked them to remove the olives, feta, and onions. The server asked what he wanted left. He said, just lettuce, cucumbers, and ranch dressing. The server explained ranch dressing isn't a thing here, and removing 3 core ingredients turns it into a side salad. The guy said, I thought Mediterranean food was supposed to be flexible. It's traditional, not flexible. He ended up with a plate of lettuce and cucumbers, no dressing, paid full price, then told his friends that Greek food was overrated and bland. He'd stripped the dish of everything that made it Greek. I was working at a brasserie in Lyon when an American tourist asked if we could serve dinner at 5 p.m. We opened at 7 p.m. He said that was way too late and couldn't understand why a restaurant wouldn't serve dinner in the afternoon. I explained that in France, dinner is an evening activity. People don't rush through it. He said, but I'm hungry now. I suggested a cafe for a snack. He didn't want a snack. He wanted a full meal at a time when the kitchen wasn't even staffed. He walked away annoyed. calling French dining culture impractical. A woman in Copenhagen ordered iced coffee in November. It was 4 degrees Celsius outside. We made it. She took one sip and complained it wasn't cold enough. I explained it was literally full of ice. She said American iced coffee is colder and more refreshing. I didn't know how to make frozen water colder. She asked if we could add more ice. We did. Then she complained there wasn't enough coffee. That's what happens when you add more ice. She left half of it, convinced Danish coffee shops didn't understand iced drinks. We were standing in a country where people bike in the snow. We understood cold. My friend worked at a restaurant in Florence. An American couple showed up at 6:30 p.m. demanding a table. The dining room was empty because Italians don't eat until 8 or 9 p.m. My friend explained the kitchen wasn't ready yet. The couple got frustrated. Why are you even open if you're not serving food? We were setting up. They insisted this was false advertising and left a review saying the restaurant turns away customers for no reason. The reason was that they arrived 2 hours before dinner service. In Italy, that's not a mystery. That's just the schedule. Another guy in Stockholm ordered a coffee and was surprised it came hot. In summer, he asked if we had cold brew. We didn't. He asked if we could pour his coffee over ice. We could, but we explained it would taste watered down. He said he didn't care. He just needed it cold. We made it. He took a sip, made a face, and said it tasted like coffee-flavored water. That's because he poured hot coffee over ice. The ice melted. That's physics. He still blamed us for not making it properly. We'd warned him. He didn't listen. I served a family in Dublin who complained their fish and chips were too hot to eat. They'd been out of the fryer for 1 minute. That's how frying works. The mom asked if we could cool it down faster. I suggested waiting. She said they were in a hurry and asked if we could put it in the fridge. That would make it soggy and cold. She didn't care. She wanted to eat it immediately, but not burn her mouth. Those are opposing goals. I brought them extra plates to spread the food out so it cooled faster. They still complained that Irish food was too heavy and hot. It's fried fish. That's the whole point. An American woman in Switzerland ordered a salad and sent it back because the vegetables weren't cold. They were room temperature. She insisted salad has to be cold and asked if we'd left it out too long. I explained that in Switzerland, people don't refrigerate vegetables unnecessarily. Room temperature preserves flavor and texture. She said that was a health risk and demanded we remake it with chilled ingredients. We did. She ate it, then left a review saying it tasted bland and cold. Yes, because she demanded it cold. That numbs flavor. She'd created her own problem. My coworker told me about an American guy in Portugal who complained his soup was served hot, in a bread bowl. He said he didn't expect it to be that hot and asked if we could serve it lukewarm next time. Soup, lukewarm, on purpose. The chef refused. The guy argued that in America, restaurants adjust temperatures based on customer preference. The chef said soup isn't coffee. It's supposed to be hot. The guy ate it anyway, but made a point to tell everyone at his table that Portuguese kitchens don't listen to feedback. The feedback was to ruin soup. A couple in Madrid ordered paella and were confused when it arrived on one large pan for both of them. They asked if we could split it onto 2 plates before bringing it out. We explained that paella is served in the pan it's cooked in. That's tradition. They said it looked weird and felt too communal. They wanted individual plates with individual portions. That defeats the entire purpose of paella. It's a shared dish. The experience is eating from the same pan. They insisted American restaurants present food better. We'd been serving paella this way for generations. They'd been in Spain for 6 hours. I worked a shift in Bruges, where an American man ordered hot chocolate and was shocked when it came as thick, melted chocolate in a small cup. He thought it was a mistake. This isn't hot chocolate. This is like chocolate soup. I explained that European hot chocolate is real chocolate, melted and served as a drink. He wanted the powdered stuff from packets, mixed with water. I told him we didn't have that. He said, "That's the normal kind, though." "No, that's the cheap kind." He drank it anyway, admitted it tasted richer, but still insisted it was too intense. That's like complaining that fresh squeezed orange juice has too much orange flavor. I was working at a bistro in Strasbourg when an American customer finished his meal and left a 25% tip. Nice gesture. But then he waited at the table for 10 minutes, visibly annoyed. I finally asked if he needed anything. He said, "I left a big tip. Aren't you going to thank me?" I said thank you. He seemed unsatisfied. He explained that in America, servers acknowledge good tips immediately and treat you extra special. I explained that in France, service is included in the bill. Tips aren't expected or treated as performance bonuses. He said that was why European service is so bad. Our service wasn't bad. We just weren't performing gratitude for extra money. A woman in Munich left a €2 tip on a €50 bill and asked if that was enough. I said it was generous. She looked relieved. Then she asked, "So, does this mean you'll remember me next time?" I'd never seen her before. I didn't know if she was coming back. She explained that in America, regular tipping builds relationships with servers. They remember your order, save your favorite table, give you extras. I told her that's not how it works here. She seemed disappointed. "So the tip doesn't do anything?" "It shows appreciation." "That's it," she said. "That seems pointless." She wanted transactional loyalty. We just wanted to do our jobs. My friend worked at a cafe in Amsterdam where an American guy paid his bill, saw the service charge included, and asked to have it removed so he could tip properly. My friend explained you can't remove the service charge. It's built into the price. The guy insisted that was shady and takes away my choice. My friend said you can still tip extra if you want. The guy didn't want to. He wanted control over the base tip amount. He argued about it for 5 minutes, then paid and left no extra tip out of principle. He turned a non-issue into a battle over theoretical freedom. An American family in Barcelona asked me if they were supposed to tip after every course or just at the end. I told them tipping isn't mandatory here. They looked confused. The dad said, "But how do you make money?" I explained we get paid a wage. He asked if it was a living wage. I said yes. He didn't believe me. He asked how much I made per hour. I didn't want to share that. He insisted, "I'm just trying to understand the system. The system is that I get paid by my employer, not by customers' guilt." He left a 10% tip anyway, then told me, "You should really push for a tipping culture here. You'd make more money." I made enough. I didn't want to depend on strangers' moods for rent. A woman in Prague argued with me about splitting the bill. She wanted to pay exactly for what she ordered, down to the cent. I said we usually split bills evenly or by couple. She said that was unfair because she only had a salad. Her friends had entrees. I offered to split it by item. She wanted to calculate tax and service per person proportionally. This took 15 minutes. Everyone else at the table was embarrassed. She finally paid, then said, "In America, restaurants just split checks automatically. It's so much easier. We could split checks. We just didn't expect someone to treat dinner with friends like an accountant's audit." An American guy in Vienna asked if he could speak to the manager because his water wasn't refilled fast enough. I was busy with other tables. He'd been without water for maybe 3 minutes. The manager came over. The guy explained that American servers are more attentive and anticipate needs. The manager said, "You could have just asked for more water." The guy said he shouldn't have to ask. The manager refilled his water and walked away. The guy left a review saying, "Austrian service lacks urgency." We weren't urgent because it wasn't urgent. It was water. I served an American couple in Brussels who snapped their fingers at me to get my attention. I ignored it. They did it again. I walked over slowly. They didn't notice I was annoyed. They ordered, then snapped again 20 minutes later for the check. I brought it. They asked why I seemed unfriendly. I explained that snapping at servers is considered rude here. The woman said, "We weren't being rude. We were just getting your attention." I told them that in Europe you make eye contact or raise your hand politely. Snapping is what you do to a dog. She got defensive. That's dramatic. It's just a gesture. A gesture that implies, I'm beneath you. They didn't tip. I didn't care. A family in Lisbon asked me to box up their leftovers. Standard request. But then the mom asked for extra containers. For later, I gave her 1 box. She wanted 4 for 1 meal. She explained that in America, people portion out leftovers into meal-sized containers immediately. I gave her extra boxes. She spent 10 minutes at the table dividing pasta into sections. Other diners were staring. She didn't care. She told me, "This is smart planning. You should try it. I cook fresh meals. I don't need 4 boxes of 3-day-old pasta." An American man in Athens asked if we validated parking. We didn't have a parking lot. He said, "Every restaurant in America validates parking." This was Greece. Streets are narrow. People walk. He insisted that modern businesses should offer parking perks. I suggested he park in a public lot and walk. He said that was inconvenient. He wanted a restaurant built in the 1800s to retroactively accommodate his car. He ate quickly and left, complaining that Athens isn't designed for tourists. Athens was designed for Greeks. In the 1800s, we weren't redesigning city layouts for rental cars. I was working at a small trattoria in Sicily when an American woman asked if we could make her a custom pasta dish. We had a set menu. She wanted angel hair with marinara, but we only had penne with arrabbiata. She asked if we could just swap the shapes and sauces. The chef came out personally. He explained that each pasta shape is chosen for its sauce. Penne holds thick sauces. Angel hair is for light oils. Arrabbiata is spicy and clings to ridges. Marinara is smooth and works with thin noodles. You can't just mix and match. It's not Legos. She stared at him like he was speaking another language. She said, "It's just pasta." He said, "No, it's tradition." She ordered something else, ate it, and admitted it was pretty good, but still told us we'd make more money if we let people customize things. Dodgy, we'd been in business since 1952. We were doing fine. That's the thing about food in Europe. It's not just fuel. It's history. It's identity. It's centuries of people perfecting techniques, flavors, and combinations. When Americans push back on that, it's not because they're trying to be difficult. They genuinely believe their way makes more sense. Bigger is better. Faster is smarter. Customization is freedom. But food here isn't about optimization. It's about preservation. And when those two philosophies collide, you get moments like these. I've seen Americans order cappuccinos at night, ask for ketchup on fine cuisine, complain that portions are too small while leaving half their plate uneaten, and argue that 1,000-year-old recipes should bend to their preferences. And every single time, the locals just stare, not angry, just confused. Because to them, food isn't a transaction. It's an experience. And you don't rewrite experiences to suit convenience. The funny part is that most Americans eventually come around. They try the espresso and realize it's stronger, richer, better than drip coffee. They eat the smaller portions and feel satisfied instead of stuffed. They slow down during meals and actually enjoy the conversations. But that first collision, that moment when they realize Europe doesn't run on American food logic, that's always chaos. And honestly, those stories never stop coming. Every shift, there's someone new, convinced their way is universal, running headfirst into a brick wall of tradition. And every time, the wall wins. If you found yourself nodding, laughing, or rethinking what normal even means. That's exactly the lens I bring every week. Subscribing just means you don't miss the next cultural collision when it happens.